Hello and welcome to another edition of the TES Secondary Maths Resource of the Week with me, Craig Barton. Now, depending on when you're watching this video, you are either, like me, panicking more than a little bit about the impending GCSEs, or it's summer holidays, you're kicking back, you're having a laugh, and thoughts of school are drifting away on the waves. If you are the former, then hopefully this resource will be right up your street. It is called GCSE 1-9 Higher GCSE Fortnightly Skills Assessment, catchy title. And look, there's a danger that whenever we're in the build with GCSEs, I find this anyway, that I chuck a load of stuff at my kids. Oh, here's a great resource I found, let's use this. Here's another one, use this, use this, use this. And it's just too much. It bombards the kids and it's like you chuck a load of mud at them and none of them sticks in the end. So I'm really fussy and really choosy when it comes to finding the resources that I want to build into a regular part of the revision programme for my Year 11s. But when I stumbled upon this and having tried it out a couple of times, it is flipping brilliant. So it has been kindly uploaded by Bucko88 and it consists of one PowerPoint and two Excel files. Let's take a look at the PowerPoint first. Now I should say, by the way, the eagle-eyed among you will notice that actually this is aimed at Year 10. And indeed, this is going to go on to something I'm going to say a little bit later on when we talk about this. But I'm predominantly now, given the time of year, I'm going to be using this for my Year 11s. So basically what this is, it's a series of low stakes quizzes or kind of ways of covering, how many questions have we got here? 12 questions in one kind of mini assessment. But what I particularly like about this is the topics are quite tricky ones. You tend to find with things like this that it's kind of adding fractions together, basic numeracy skills, rounding to decimal places, expanding single brackets and so on. And obviously those skills are of fundamental importance. But if you've got a Year 11 class like mine who are aiming, oh God, hopefully for grades 7, 8 and 9, you also need to get their regular practice of the more difficult concepts up to scratch. So this is why this is absolutely perfect. So in this first quiz or set of questions, we've got things involving surds and powers. We've got rearranging to make subject to the formula. Then we've got direct proportion, and that fuses into inverse proportion a little bit later on. Simultaneous equations, tricky factorising, a bit of Venn diagrams, estimating, fairly tricky angle stuff with polygons, Pythagoras and straight line graphs. So they're not your average kind of topics that appear here. There are what I would call your core skills that you need in place to be able to access those 7, 8 and 9s. On top of all the other basics that I mentioned before. Now, you know I love this. Only the flipping answers are here as well. Hallelujah. Absolutely adore that when that happens in a TES resource. But then slide 4 is another version of that first quiz, but the numbers have changed, but the difficulty remains exactly the same. And indeed, I think you've got around about 10 versions of this quiz, all tackling the exact same topics. And indeed, these are all the non-calculator topics, the non-calculator versions of these questions. Before I talk about how I've used this in lesson, I'll just keep scrolling down because once you get to slide 20, it shifts. And now we get 12, is it still yet? 12 calculator topics. So we've got circles, but then we've got fairly tricky ratio. Look, new spec stuff. We've got function notation, error intervals, trigonometry, plotting graphs, and so on. Once again, thank God we've got the answers. And as we go through these, the numbers change, but the difficulty remains the same as we develop. Oh, and I should say, by the way, sometimes little twists happen. So here it was calculate, and now we're solving. So it does build and build, but the topics themselves remain the same as we go through this. So how to make the best of this? Well, this is aimed at Year 10, and I can see why, because essentially here you have got 10 non-calculator and 10 calculator quizzes that if you use one of these a fortnight, that's a year's worth of material, or once a week if my maths is right. So about half a year's worth of material. So it's ideal to start introducing at the start of the year. And if I could go back in time, well, there'd be many things I would do, but one of the things I would do is September, I would start this with my Year 11s and I would do one a week, because having finished the course, this is ideal for that regular practice, that retention, that keeping these topics accessible in their memories, and also identifying any problems and ironing them out before things get a bit too serious. So it's absolutely ideal to use with Year 11s from the start of the year. But we don't have a time machine, so what are we going to do instead? Well, I'm just using these every lesson. I think these are absolutely brilliant. Well, I say every lesson, we've got 5 lessons a week. Three of those lessons I'm using these, and I'm using them at the start, and they are my low stakes quiz. So I'm not taking these marks in or anything like that. I'm projecting kids are doing them, giving them around about 15-20 minutes. Then I'm projecting the answers up and I'm saying, okay, mark these yourself. If there's any problems, if there's anything you don't understand, let me know. We tend to then have a kind of 5-minute chat about any tricky questions. If there's any major problem and I think I can cover it there and then, I'll do so. If not, I'll say to the kids, look, don't worry about this. We're going to come back to this whenever I'm a bit better prepared for it, and we'll tackle it next week and so on. So for low stakes quizzes, and I bang on about this all the time, these are flipping ideal. They could also be used as homeworks or mini assessment, but for me, it's that low stakes quiz where the real power lies of this. I should say there are Excel spreadsheets as part of this, so you can actually record scores and track progress. Each quiz has got its own spreadsheet with the title of the question and the relevant MathsWatch clip, and it tracks progress by kind of presenting these as coloured charts along the way. So that's absolutely fine if you want to use it like that. As I say, for my purposes, I'm all about, for Year 11s at the moment, using it in class as a low stakes quiz. But what a wonderful resource, hey? It's just keeping those more tricky topics fresh in kids' minds, keeping them ticking over. I flipping love that. Tell you what, it might even be a stress-free build up to these GCSEs. I wish. Anyway, I shall return with a fresh resource of the week next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.